Sir Knights, I have a public speaking project due for my communications class. Apparently after 30 years of teaching, someone actually wants me to have a class in how to speak in public. So tonight I have to videotape myself for about 6 minutes and give an informative speech. Tonight I've chosen to give a speech on the justification of the Crusades because of Islamic aggression. So I'm just going to start. Give me about 6 minutes of your time, and I'm very grateful that you're going to help me with my class project. Women and children together came to 8,000 and were quickly divided up among us, bringing smile to Muslim faces at their lamentations. How many well-guarded women were profaned, and miserly women forced to yield themselves, women who had been kept hidden, stripped of their modesty, pretty things put to the test, virgins dishonored, proud women deflowered, and untamed ones tamed. How many noblemen took them as concubines, and celibates were satisfied by them, and turbulent men able to give vent to the passion. This was a quote from Ahmad ad-Din in the Arab historians at the fall of Jerusalem. An example of Saladin's kindness and generosity and mercy that he showed to Christians at the defeat of battle. I spent 4 years in the Middle East working and immersed in the Islamic culture, and I came away with 2 understandings. The first is an understanding of how Muslims view non-Muslims. The second understanding was how Muslims view their obligation to subjugate the world for Allah. Because of the rapid and violent expansion of Islam, the Crusades were an appropriate response to an Islamic invasion. During the next few minutes, I will share with you a synopsis of the violence of Islam that instigated the Crusades. I'll share with you scriptural prophecy of Islam, a highlighting of the appropriate military response, and by examining some of the positive effects the Crusades had when Islam was held in check. In Genesis 16, the angel of the Lord came to Hagar and told her that her son Ishmael would be a great nation, but that he would be a violent man against the whole world. The whole world would be against Ishmael, and Ishmael would be against himself. Today in the Islamic world, the Muslims celebrate Ishmael as the heir of God's promise rather than Isaac. In the book of John, when Jesus proclaimed that he would leave us so that the Comforter would come, the Muslims have twisted that to show that Jesus was prophesying of the Prophet Muhammad. These twists and rewriting of Scripture alienate Jews and Christians from their own history, and they give the Muslims justification for their belief that they're the true faith and must change the world for Allah. From Muhammad to the year 1099 AD, the only check to Islam was the Crusades. Muslims traveled from Mecca to North Africa into Spain and up into Constantinople, destroying Christian cities and trade routes along the way. Sun Tzu, the writer of The Art of War, teaches that the clever combatant imposes his will on the enemy and does not allow the enemy to impose his will upon him. Islam was spread not by prophets and ministers, but by their sword, with Quranic verses, with the screaming and mercy from the people they conquered. Even in the 1980s cartoon, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, we were told at the end of the show that knowing was half the battle. Well, if knowing was half the battle, even a t-shirt manufacturer on the internet knows that the other half is unrelenting violence. The only way to stop aggression is with more aggression. The Quran teaches that those who not submit to the Quranic teachings and become a Muslim must either pay an extortion tax or be killed. There's no living in peace. Convert, submit, or die. Finally, history shows us that Islam, when kept in check, results in peace. During the Christian control of Jerusalem after the Crusades, the Arab historian Ibn Jubar is quoted in Amin Malouf's book, The Crusades Through Arab Eyes, that it was better to live under Christian control because of the Franks, the Crusaders, justice, and they were opposed to living under Islamic rule. Muslims had it better under Christians. After the fall of Constantinople in 1453 to an Islamic uprising, insurgency, Greek thinkers, philosophers, and scientists were forced back into Europe. When those Greek thinkers and philosophers turned their back on Islam, we have this growth that we call today the Renaissance. From 1492, Spain banished the Muslims and sent Columbus searching for new trade routes. We have a new world because of it. I'm reminded of the Marine Corps hymn, "From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli," which alludes to the time President Thomas Jefferson sent the United States Marines to fight the Barbary pirates, a group of Muslim brigands that were harassing naval warships or naval trade ships. Thomas Jefferson wrote to the president of Yale College in 1786 that it would be easier to grow an army to fight them than to raise the money to bribe them. I hope that I've been able to give you a short understanding into the importance, the need, and the justification for the Crusades. Because of the rapid and violent expansion of Islam, the Crusades were an appropriate response to the Islamic invasion. The Bible warned us about Islam, the level of Islamic aggression dictated a military response, and the peace that follows Islamic suppression justifies the violence needed to establish it. Alexis de Tocqueville said, "I came away from the study of the Quran with the conviction that by and large there have been few religions in the world as deadly to men as that of Muhammad." Deus Vol. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Steve. Thank you very much, everyone. How much did I go over?
9 seconds.
Oh, praise God.
All right, brethren, we will start in just a few minutes.